I'm learning. I'm
Hey
learning
man,
all this.
we're all
So
we're all learning every day. If you're not learning, then you're not living.
right. Like
Jack
I'm not gonna.
Bauer, bro. Jack Bauer.
No. All right. Here we go. Let's do this. Welcome to the Creative Liberty Podcast. I'm your host, Major Chisholm. And in the studio with me today is Mr. David DJ Lee.
Woo!
How are you, friend?
Hello, Creative Liberty, folks. Good to see you, sir.
You as well. It's really good to see you. Full screen us here.
Word.
Um, so you're a musician.
I am. I've been a musician for a very long time. Very long time.
Um, and for our audience, for those listening, all 15 of you guys, um,
18.
18 of us, DJ and I went to college together. For
643 years ago.
right,
Mm-hmm.
feels that long. We went to Union University in Jackson, Tennessee.
The UU.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
So you're a musician, and tell us the backstory. Tell us your family.
Yeah, I was gonna
Let's
say,
start with. Let's start
how
with.
far you want to go all the
I
way
want to.
back?
No, I want you to go to Bud and Barbara, and I
Man,
want you to walk us forward.
I'll
Tell
go
us
all
your
the way.
story
All right.
about being in music, and then if I have questions, I'll interject.
Okay, cool. So my story is quite interesting, only because I was raised pretty differently. My parents, my dad's classically trained vocalist, and my mom has her master's in classical piano. And they have been traveling since 1987, traveling full-time music ministry where they sing at churches for a living. And it's wild and crazy because they kind of booked their own schedule and their itinerary and word of mouth and this and that. And they've done it for 33 years. And when I was young, so I have two older sisters. My parents traveled for 2 years without us. We stayed at home with our grandma, and they'd come back and home fairly often, but they were gone a lot. So they asked us if we wanted to homeschool and travel with them. So you got to remember, in 1989, not many people were homeschooling. I mean, people were homeschooling,
Right.
but it's not like now. Like today, it's like, oh, homeschooling's like the thing. Hello?
Right.
Oh, sorry.
Can you hear me?
My screen. Yeah. Sorry. So my screen just went crazy. Do not disturb up. Sorry. Do not disturb on my phone. Okay. Yeah, it was like a thing where people, like, no one really homeschooled. You'd say homeschool, they'd be like, you do what? So we started homeschooling, traveled with my parents, singing at churches. I did that from fourth grade till I graduated high school. Then I went to Union University, where I met Chisholm, who was an upperclassman, and I was a freshman. But I grew up traveling, singing at churches with my family. So music has kind of been a part of who I am and bred it in me growing up. And then when I went to college, I started as a freshman majoring in music because I knew I was like to sing, but I had no formal training other than being on stages at churches, stuff I learned from my dad, or my mom would have showed me on the piano some. But being the youngest, we were deep in traveling mode by the time I was old enough to kind of start really caring about music. So went to Union and studied music, classically trained. Met a guitar player there, met another guy there who was a singer and an English major, and the three of us created a band. And it was a band called Scratch Track. And we started to actually in college, for all you deep cutters, it was called Eclipse. When we were at
Yes.
Union, we were called Eclipse.
I was going to ask you, what was the band's name before Scratch Track?
Yeah. We were called Eclipse. Yeah, like the gum, in the car. Yep, Eclipse. Like the thing in the sun. Yep, Eclipse. And so it was great. It was a folk, hip hop, soul, trio that was just acoustic guitar and then our voices. So that's kind of my instrument. I sing and I also beatbox, doing beats with my mouth. So Will and I would go back and forth, beatboxing and singing. And then Jason Hamlin, shout out to Jason Hamlin. He incredible guitar player, all the riffs, all the music. So started that in college, kind of on accident. That story's random. We played the variety show one random day. We played the variety show, and the crowd went wild. We were like, "Oh, we should start a band." So did that throughout college, and then when we graduated college, decided to pursue it professionally. Moved to Martha's Vineyard, Massachusetts, to record our album there for the first part of 2003, and then we hit the road touring. Got management in New York City, college agent, showcase for labels, all of that stuff. I have crazy stories about that section of time we toured from 2003 to 2005 was a crazy, wild ride because we were doing it all DIY. This is before the internet, even before like MySpace, before any of that stuff.
Right.
Traveling, selling CDs out of our car, van, staying with friends, booking our own shows. Then we got a college agent, and still just beating the highway up. 2005, Will ended up quitting to pursue his kind of like family life and some other things. So Jason and I kind of held on for the ride for another 8 years, so 2013, and then 2014 we shut the band down. And so for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been trying to kind of morph into juggling a lot of hats in music with artist management, tour management, production management, songwriting, and I'm back kind of up on the horse of being an artist again. So it comes back full circle. So yeah, lots of things, but that's kind of the cliff notes of my journey through music to get me to the point where I am now in 2020.
We'll come back to what you're working on
Okay.
currently, but wow, what did you learn from the road? If you had to go back and tell DJ,
Yeah, I was gonna say which version of me, like 10 to
that
20-year-old road or 20 to 30, like adult touring or child touring? Because I've learned lots of things on the road.
right, right. Let's go with adult touring. Like, would
Yeah.
you, if you were to tell other artists, other people out there, what advice would you give them if they're planning on touring or getting on the road and doing it themselves?
Yeah. Touring's interesting because I have a lot of current thoughts about touring as an artist and as musicians in 2020. I have a lot of thoughts about why and how and when you should do it. What I won't get into. Some of those are part of my branding secrets. But as far as the thing about touring, really, which is kind of the crux of it, is just kind of knowing that it's so much more about living in harmony with who you're touring with, and the
Mm-hmm.
emotional side of the road is almost as important as the 90 minutes you're on stage, or
Right.
60 minutes you're on stage, 23 hours of the day you're living in harmony with someone, and you're
Right.
dealing with every moment of traveling and touring with that person. So if you wake up feeling terrible with a hangover, or even just with like a headache, or if you wake up in the morning feeling just not in it, not happy,
Yep.
you've got a bandmate, you've got other people that are, there with you, that you have to kind of like be aware of as you process life and deal with all the stuff that we all deal with through life. So
That's good wisdom. Being in harmony. You mentioned you produce. Who are you working with,
yeah,
or who do you produce?
so basically I do I'm doing artist development now for a few acts, artist development / management. So there's a young girl here in Nashville I'm working with. Her name is Aspen, Aspyn, Aspyn. She just released her first single called Heartless. She is 16 years old. That story, I've known her family my entire life from the Kansas City area. They moved to Nashville even before I moved to Nashville 18 months ago. I was teaching her voice lessons in Kansas City while I was there. So I do that. Oh, I do that as well. Add that to my list. I teach voice. And um, so when I got down to Nashville, she was like, they're like, Aspen's one of 7 kids. She's the middle child. She's like, she asked me whether they want to do music. I'm like, we're in Music City. And so I've been teaching her voice. And then she'd say, hey, I wrote this song. She'd play me a song. I'd be like, oh, that's really good. You know, keep writing. You're doing a great job. She's like, oh, I got this other song. She'd play me a song. It's like, oh man, that's good. You know, just keep at it. Get your 10,000 hours in. Keep writing, you know?
Right. Right.
And she one day was just kind of like, I did a voice lesson and then we were finishing, I was packing up. She was like, oh, I wrote this song in like 20 minutes the other day. And she started playing this song, which this is the single she released. And she said, she got to the chorus and said, I'm not heartless. I'm just using my heart less. Part of this is that I once cared too much. And I remember stopping and being like, what was that? she's singing again. I'm not heartless. I'm just using my heartless. Part of this is that I once cared too much. And I was like, oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this might be a thing, you know? And so literally for the last 12 months, woodshedding that song, got it with an awesome producer who actually happens to be in the current project that I'm in, which we'll get into that later. But her Aspen's dad is great with digital media things and websites and lyric videos. And so she's a thing now. So she's going to put a record out. Her EP is going to come out this summer.
Nice.
And it's, she's a thing. Yeah. Young, 16 too. I tell her every day, man, if I could go back if I had your talent at 16, people say I was talented, but I was just like, I wasn't looking back. I don't know. Maybe I was, but she's really clever and, has way more opportunities now with technology and internet and, recording capabilities and voice memos, just voice memos alone, I have mini tape recorders that in shoe boxes of things that like ideas I used to like all those things are such an advantage for her right now. So it's pretty awesome. So that's one artist. I work with an artist named Olivia Fox, a girl trio from Kansas City. There's a folk pop thing, which is amazing. They're on Spotify and Apple Music and all of that. Music videos. They do a nice hybrid of classic folk harmonies with like pop 808 beats and synths and snaps. And I work with an artist named Secondhand King who does doo-wop hip hop. I tell people he's Kansas City's last beatnik. So he's got an album coming out this summer or fall as well called The Doo-Wop Rapper. And so I work with him. I work with a producer who's produced actually Secondhand King's last album, and he's producing and is the producer of Olivia Fox. He is basically the fourth Fox, a guy named Tyler Banks. So I work with him in production, and I work with him in kind of getting him clients and getting him work. So we write together a lot as well. So so that's kind of what I have my hands in now, as far as like currently juggling on the management and artist development tip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you get your inspiration from? Music.
Chicago. No, I'm just kidding. You know that song? You're the inspiration. Anyway, that was a joke. I get my inspiration. Where do I get my inspiration from? That's an interesting question. It's an interesting question because there's a core of me being raised in a very conservative Christian home. I believe in God and I believe in Protestant faith. But I'm inspired by like my father. I'm inspired by those kind of who went before me. I'm inspired by art around me. I think I make music because it's who I am. Making music, connecting people, creative creatively helping creative people is kind of my slogan, my website.
Mm-hmm.
It's my passion. It's just kind of like where I feel the most like myself. So I'm inspired by, you know, God. I'm inspired by art. I'm inspired by creative people. So I think that is what fuels me. I feel energy from other humans and creative humans, and that synergy is inspiring to me.
That's awesome. Um, so I'm gonna throw you a curveball then.
Okay.
If you can name one, your favorite musician of all time. You can name three,
You
but
know what's fun? What's funny is that when you said that, a couple things flashed in my head. This is gonna sound kind of weak, but yeah, it's hard for me not to just like when I hear that question, say Michael Jackson. Like, it's hard for me not to
ah,
like. It's hard for me not to
right.
like hear that and just be like, oh, Michael Jackson, because I've never. I. It's funny. My earliest memory of music, I think I was probably 3 years old, maybe. I mean, maybe four, but I think I was three. And we had a record player, like a Fisher Price record player, at my house. Again, I'm the youngest of two older sisters, and we would play on repeat two different records that I remember. We had Lionel Richie's, maybe not greatest hits, but it was like whatever album had all night long, all
Oh
night.
no.
Had that song, had that record, and we had Michael Jackson's Thriller. And we would play those two records. And I have only memories I really have is for some reason we had this curtain in our dining room, and I think we would dance in the dining room to the first track on Thrillers, "Want to Be Starting Something," and it's the song that has the greatest outro of all time. Mama say, Mama sa, Mama tu sa, Mama say,
Yep.
Mama sa, Mama tu sa, Mama say, Mama sa, Mama tu sa, which is the funkiest thing ever, and it's so great. Um, so I think honestly that triggered something orally in my ears. I think at a young age, and every time I hear Michael Jackson, I'm just like, that is inspiring. The pop,
Mm.
the energy, the grooves, and honestly, man, he had a lot of great messages, man. Like I was literally quoting him yesterday as we were talking about what's going on in the world and everything, and I said, man, really, honestly, like so many people have thoughts and feelings and emotions are high. Even today, with what's going on in the world, um, I was quoting Michael Jackson, the song. I said, people are talking about all the emotions are high and how people are feeling. I said, honestly, if you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and make that change. Like, we can talk all this logic and theory and all these things, but the real changes that you'll see in a culture start from within. It's just how it is.
Yeah,
Everything
absolutely.
everything else is just a product of the character and the or lack of character, the character and values and integrity of an individual person, which turns into a community, which turns into a town, which turns into a state, which turns into a country.
Right. I agree. Mm. Who are you listening to now?
Oh, lots of people. Oh, I love this band. Actually, this band, these girls, Larkin Poe. Have you heard these
Okay.
girls?
Nope.
They're sisters from Georgia. They do like a blues, like a blues pop rock thing. One of the girls, Megan, plays, it's like a dope slide guitar.
Yeah.
Slide queen. She's amazing. And then Rebecca, great lead vocalist. They're a great band. I listen to a lot of like indie pop stuff, things like like JP Sachs and Lauv, and I'm kind of a pop head in that realm. What did I listen to yesterday? I listened to like some rock and roll yesterday, from Zeppelin to the band Jet. Um, Always listen to the artists I work with: Aspen, Olivia Fox, Secondhand King. What else am I listening to right now? Um, a lot. Music is, I study it and I find music and I rabbit hole and I dig and I listen and I watch. So yeah.
Okay. Um.
Oh, I love this kid Louis Capaldi. You know this kid Lewis Capaldi? Man, he's so good. One of those British troubadours that it's amazing.
Okay. I'm gonna have a lot of bands to look up after this podcast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, hmm, Louis Louis Capaldi, right?
Capaldi. You might know his
Okay,
voice. He's got a lot of stuff that's out. It's good.
okay. Um, if you weren't working in music, what would you be doing?
School teacher.
What would you be teaching? Music.
I mean, I say I say school teacher. You know what? If I wasn't working in music, I'd probably be doing like a bunch of different things. When I was younger, like late 20s, early 30s, I thought if I'm still in nickel and dime in my life or not really making any headway in this, I'll go be a school teacher by the time I'm 40. And so then it's like, oh, this is who I am. So would I teach music in school? I think I'd be really good at it. Let's just say that. I have the temperance and the personality to be a school teacher. It's in my blood. My mom's mom taught school for 40 years. I have an older sister who you know, Stephanie,
Yep.
who has her PhD and is a teacher. You know, my oldest sister Melody has been, you know, she's just a super alpha, so she's always teaching whoever she meets. You know, the big
Ah.
sister. You know, the big
Mm-hmm.
sister. Instructional voice. She's married to a preacher. You know, my dad's always the guy people call for advice. So
Mm-hmm.
in my DNA is just this thing of, you know, helping. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I think that would be probably the thing. Honestly though, if I wasn't doing music, I'd probably right now trying to be doing something like entrepreneurship, like um finding like inventing something, being a part of like, you know, creating something new, creating something like a new company or something like that.
Right. Stephanie. By the way, you beat her on the podcast. She
Yes.
hasn't come on yet, so.
Gotcha, sis.
uh, but I
She's
am
so
gonna have her on.
she's so competitive too, bro. She'll be like, "Oh, really? He beat me? Okay," but deep down she'll be like, ugh. All the
Yeah,
great ones
I
are. This is what I've learned though, is that if you're going to be great at something, there's a competitive drive in you that's unparalleled. I don't know if I have that competitive drive. I mean, I'm competitive to a certain extent, but there's a drive. There's a super alpha, you know, like
right.
drive that is, you know, amazing. Stephanie is the most driven person I've ever met.
Yeah, I don't think I've met your oldest sister. What's
Yeah,
her name?
Melody, like music.
Melody.
Yeah, Melody.
Yeah, definitely. Stephanie has the drive,
Yeah,
and but you said that you said that Melody was an alpha,
yeah, she's a super alpha. Yeah, for sure.
super alpha. That's it.
Stephanie's like a quiet, you know, the quiet assassin.
Yeah,
Melody will
exactly.
walk into a room, announce that she's going to blow everybody up, and then do it. You know? Stephanie will just quietly destroy you. Melody will just let you know it's about to happen.
Oh, that's awesome. Um, so yeah, you spoke a little bit earlier about the times we're living in. How has COVID interrupted what you've been working on? What you've been doing?
You know what's funny is that I'm probably one of those weird people. Man, COVID's kind of been really good for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of my hustle in Nashville involved like going here, going there. I was driving a lot of Lyft, you know, to make extra money as well. So I had a lot of like I was spread out. Like
Hmm.
my person was spread out all over the place. And with
Right.
COVID and things closing and people kind of being forced to be in home, I was able to kind of like I've been tooling up as I call it. You know, I've been teaching myself Logic, the software that you make
Way to
music
go.
on, and yeah,
Yeah.
I've been teaching myself iMovie, trying to learn how to do more of those things. That video, I made a song and a music video. I didn't know how to do that before COVID. I don't know if I would have learned how to do that, but I've taught myself how to do those things. You know, because we're everyone's stay at home order and trying to be safe and what's the catchphrase, social distancing and all of that. So you know, I think and it also gives me time and like some solid students some space to kind of really evaluate, how I want to orchestrate more. I'm always trying to
Right.
figure out how to be better and be a better version of myself and be more. So I'm also been working out a bunch. I'm trying to eat better and trying to like get in the rhythm of that and then continue because I'm not young, so you got to like take care of yourself and do those things. So COVID, man, I mean, I hate that I hate that it's killed so many people or it's taken so many people, and a lot of people have dealt with some real sickness and some bad things. But for me and personally, and everyone that I know, because I don't know anyone actually who has COVID, or that they know of. I shouldn't say it. We all could have it, and not know it, but it's like,
Right. I know what you mean. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Yeah. So,
Yeah.
for me personally, this has been kind of a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. Same for me as well. Just been able to focus and work
Yeah.
on stuff, and we were working from home for a few months, and now it's officially summertime. So
Yeah.
um, now it's working on whatever I want to work on, which has been really good. So
Yeah. That's awesome.
um, yeah. Has this time sparked new ideas and
Oh,
for the
absolutely.
future?
Absolutely. I can't talk about a few of them, but I do have some
I,
things that
I, I
I'm.
love the top secretness.
I know, right? And really, it wouldn't be funny if when people say that, I'm always just like, you don't have anything. You're just saying that to sound important. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I've got some
Right.
things in the works I can't really talk about. I'm like, oh, do you? Really? You trying to sound really cool? I just,
Humble brag.
yeah, it's exciting. I'm really excited about it. And really, it's like, they're just going to Target later. There's like,
Right.
there's nothing. No, I'm trying to craft ways to help more artists, and I have people that I'm close to that are just unbelievably talented who I think could use my administration skills and my, the accountability that I can kind of bring as far as like management things and the hustle, man. The hustle is something that I learned from Bud and Barbara, my parents, man. They are
Right.
they are the hustle. They're the definition of hustle, and so it's kind of embedded in me growing up. And so I definitely want to help, creatively help creative people, and so that's been great. And then I've been, like I said, making more music on my own. I'm making beats now, and I've been beatboxing for 20 years, but I've never really made my own beats with my combining my beatboxing and like programmed sounds, and so I've been doing
Hmm.
that, which has been really really cool. And then writing over that stuff and sending beats to people and writing. So it's really really helped me get stuff, flush stuff out of me as far as creatively.
Good. Good. Yeah. I think, and I've said this before. I don't know if I've mentioned it on a podcast, but I think once everything's said and done, I think there's going to be some aspects to all of this that people are going to look back on and go, that was kind of a sweet time for my family. And
Yeah,
now we're
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thrown
Hmm.
thrown back into the work and the busyness of life and everything. And I think, if they don't establish some of those practices and some of those family times or creative times, that they're going to look back and, man, I kind of missed that. So
No, absolutely.
I'm glad people are taking advantage of it like you. Um,
Absolutely.
how talk a little bit about, you said you raised uh, Bud and Barbara and conservative Christian family. Does faith
Yeah.
play a role into your music? Does it come across in your music? The obvious question people would say, "Oh, is he a Christian music?"
Right, right, right,
Talk, speak to that. Speak to
right. Yeah. So, um, it's funny because with what's going on in the world, people, especially today, have been calling me a lot, texting me a lot, asking me a
why.
lot of. I know, right? I wonder why. Because I think I'm a lot of people. I'm one of a. I think that a lot of people that I know, being raised in the suburbs and raised in, you know, um, I have no better way of saying this, but being raised in white America, um, just being raised in the environment where I'm probably a lot of people's closest black friend, you know?
Sure.
Um, and I recognize that, and I have a lot of friends, and I'm friendly, and I'm thankful for my friends. And so I'm thankful that they care enough about me to call and say, "Hey, man, this is crazy stuff going on in the world, and I just want you to know I love you." I'm like, I can't be mad about that. Like, It's a little weird, but I
Yeah.
can't be mad about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
Right.
but I, you know, man, my parents, they have raised us children. I'll speak to me specifically, um, to love God and love each other. Um, and everything that you do needs to be great. It needs to be done for the glorification of what's bigger than you. My faith, and I think my faith is strong. I think my faith, it definitely has changed in the last, couple of decades. My my relationship with God is, it's an ever changing thing, right? It's we're all morphing as we
Right.
the more experiences, life experiences that we have, our perspectives change. But as far as how it affects my art, I'm always gonna have that like conscious thought about, is this song um is this song a song that I can play for my parents? Is this a song that is for everyone? I think that a lot of artists, music, visual, whatever, when they make art, they say, well, I don't want to make Christian art because I want to make music for everyone. But then they alienate that art so that conservatives or Christians or women or babies, whatever, or kids can't listen to it. And I've always wanted to be like, no, I want to make art literally for everyone, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants, Catholics. I want to make a song that you could play for anyone from any background, any walk of life, any age, and not have to explain it, not have to do anything, just hit play and let them take the art, let them experience the art. And I hope that comes out. I've been in this kick lately trying to figure out, and I did this to the song I just put on my SoundCloud. My buddy Evan John from back home, that was another project I was in, DJing Evan John. Shout out Evan John. He left a voice memo on my phone. I took it, loaded it in my computer, put it in Logic, looped it, put a beat over it, put some other sounds on it, added a little organ on it, and like I sent it to him. He sent me back another guitar part, and then he sent me a bass line via the internet. So we wrote this whole song through COVID, never being in the same room. I just had parts that I just kept adding to this track, and I was like, man, I want to create. And the beats kind of got like a modern feel, and I was like, I want to create like. And Scratch Track did this for a few songs, like modern day Negro spirituals.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to create this song that had like a gospel spiritual feel over a modern produced sounds. And
Right.
I think I came pretty close. I don't know if I hit it out of the park, but I know I got it between the outfielders, and I know it went to the wall, So it's a song called A Little Help, and it's on my SoundCloud at Rockababyrock. That's all my socials, Rockababyrock. But that in itself is just an example of like, that's the kind of, I love to make art that is for everyone, So, and so my faith comes out of that. But again, I don't want to use it as an agenda or use it as you should think and stink like me. Because growing up, when I did, our parents lived through the Jesus movement that swept the country.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of this, you need to do this, you need to do that. I call it dictatorship gospel, And I'm not talking down upon that. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that's like not how I've ever wanted to love people or how I wanted to present, my lifestyle or my faith to people, is through that
Right.
type of dogmatic dictatorship way. I just want to, I want to love. I want to, in the words of Bill and Ted, be excellent to each other. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, that's a great stopping point for us to take
Okay.
a little break. And
Cool.
when we come back, we are going to probably watch one of your videos.
Sweet.
We're on a Zoom call and a podcast. So if I could get your permission to probably put your song on my podcast before it gets
You have.
I don't even know if they do that.
You have my verbal permission.
All right, we'll be right back after this short break.
Oh, hey there. So this is the advertisement for the video portion of the podcast. I'm just sitting here editing the video portion right now. And I wanted to ask you guys if you would like to be a supporter of this podcast, if you like what I'm putting out, what I'm doing, you can go to anchor.fm and you can donate as low as 99 cents a month up to $9.99 a month or $4.99 a month. So this is the advertisement. Me asking you to become a financial supporter of this podcast. You don't get what you don't ask for. But anyway, so this is the mid-roll advertisement. Y'all just saw the first part of my interview with DJ Lee. Now let's jump back into the second part. You're gonna love it.
In section 2.
Welcome back to the Creative Liberty Podcast. In the studio with me today is David DJ Lee. DJ, so your faith, we just talked about that. I want to bring up one of your, you said it's a most recent song, is that right? A recent song?
Yes, it's a very recent song. This is the song that this is the very first song that I taught myself how to use Logic.
Okay.
The software, and I recorded the audio by myself. Actually, that's not true. I called my buddy Tyler, who I produce with, and sent him some of the files, and he helped me kind of a little bit. But this is like the first thing I ever did, pretty much everything. I did all the music, like beatboxing, vocal percussion, vocal harmonies, sang the lead vocal. So I made the track, and then I submitted it to a contest for the Goffin and King Foundation. Goffin and King is Jerry Goffin and Carole King, songwriters. We all know who Carole King is, but Goffin and King, the foundation, is celebrating the work of the Great American Songbook that Goffin and King wrote. So they wrote songs by everyone from the Drifters, the Shirleys, to the Animals, to, all kinds of artists. Little Eva, the Locomotion. They wrote so many great songs. So I picked this song as I was a part of their first annual songwriting retreat. Shout out to Louise Goffin. And so then they wanted the video to go along with the submission. And so I taught myself how to make a video. So in iMovie. So yeah, Don't Bring Me Down is a cover by the band called The Animals. It was written by Jerry Goffin, the late Jerry Goffin, and the Queen Carole King. Queen King.
Okay.
Carole King. Yeah.
All right. Well, let me pull this up. I'll probably just do 30 seconds because I want our audience to go back for more. I won't play
Absolutely.
the whole thing.
Check it out on YouTube.
At
YouTube, Rockababyrock. Wait, I think it's my YouTube. DJ Lee. It's one of those two. You can look up Rockababyrock on YouTube in this song, and you'll find it.
All right.
You complain and criticize. I feel I'm nothing in your eyes. It makes me feel like giving up, because my best just ain't good enough. Girl, I wanna provide for you, do all the things you want me to. Oh no, don't bring me down. I'm begging, darling. Oh no, don't bring me down.
Yeah.
Love it.
Don't Bring Me Down. That was fun. That was a good time.
Yeah. Rockababyrock. Tell me that story.
Okay.
I've heard this story, but
have you? Oh, good.
Yes.
It's like a deep cut story. So, again, I was the youngest in my family. I have 2 older sisters. I'm the baby. When I was a baby, I guess I was really young, like 9 or 10 months old. My dad would sing to me. He'd go, "Rock a baby, rock, rock a baby, rock a baby, rock," and I would just sway to it in rhythm. Rock a baby, rock a baby, rock, and it was like a weird baby trick or whatever. And people would like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool! It's so cool!" They'd be like, "Mr. Lee, make DJ do rock a baby, rock, make him do rock a baby." And so I don't even have to see him. I could just hear his voice. But if someone else tried to sing it, I wouldn't move. If someone else tried to sing rock, I wouldn't move if they tried to sing it. But if I heard my dad say, "Rock a baby, rock a baby, rock a baby, rock." So, yeah, that was the story. And I basically have been calling myself Rockababy Rock. When I got my first email account in whatever, the 90s. Rockababyrock at Juno, Rockababyrock at whatever, Rockababyrock at Gmail, Rockababyrock, all my handles, all my Twitter, all my Venmo, PayPal,
Yep.
all that stuff. Rockababyrock. So that's me. I should get a tattoo like you, like Rockababy and then rock,
In your dad's handwriting.
Oh, that'd be that's a really good idea, actually.
Yeah.
Making a note of that. Yeah, that's great.
Trying to think of other industry questions.
Yeah, I actually might be I'm toying with the idea of putting out like a Rockababyrock mixtape, whatever that means. Basically, I have a bunch of songs that I've recorded and writing for sync for film and TV that aren't released, that are just kind of sitting. And I just thought, man, I might just put this out because these are some really cool songs, and I think that's probably going to happen. I'm gonna put out a bunch of music later this year. I'm in a band. We're releasing a song at the end of this month, and so yeah, a lot of things.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
The name of the band.
The Magi.
What you got coming up? What's in the future? Say it again.
So yeah, the band. I'm in a band called the Magi. It's it's a trio. It's similar to what I was doing with Scratch Track as far as beatboxing is the groove and and kind of the foundation. It's groove based, and then we have acoustic guitar and bass, and there's 3 of us. I tell people that we're basically like a black version of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. So only in the fact that we we are 3 solo artists: Damian Horn, Kenny Carter, and myself, David DJ Lee. So we have a single coming out. Our single "Try" is coming out, I think, June 26th on all digital streaming platforms. So it's like urban folk. The Magi is like an urban folk band that it's a great song. The song's called "Try," and we're gonna be, we have a music video coming out as well. So just putting our imprint out into the world as a band.
Love it. Who's doing your video?
So Damian, Kenny, and I. Kenny actually produced and recorded the song, and he's doing the music video as well. So Kenny, we have like Damian, who's an amazing singer songwriter. He's like our lead singer. Kenny's our musical director, plays bass, and he's an engineer and just kind of has a great eye and ear for that. And then I'm like I do the beatboxing, and we all contribute well to songwriting and the sonics of the song, but I'm kind of like the band's manager, so we all have like our a little roles that we do really well as far as helping kind of get this thing off the ground. So it's been cool. It was an accident. We started because the Magi started because we got together for a write here in my little apartment here in Nashville. We got together, set up, and we were supposed to write with our friend Shauna, and she wanted to call the project "The Queen and the Queen and the Magi," because she was like the Queen and the Magi, and so we kind of laughed it off, and she ended up missing the write, so we went ahead and just wrote while we were waiting on her, and realized she wasn't coming. We started writing this song, and it was like, oh, this is cool, and that was the song "Try" that we're releasing. We wrote it was this time last year. So we thought the Magi sounded cool because, the 3 of us too are like 3 men who, a lot of times in people's lives, we're kind of like the voice of reason. People call us to talk, and not calling ourselves wise or anything, but it was just kind of a cool, inspirational thing. And the Magi in the Bible represents hope and the promise, and so we hope that we can kind of uplift and bring positivity and hope to people.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm excited. I'm excited for people to hear it. It's gonna be great.
Oh man! And I've been to several of your Scratch Track. I've been to several of
man.
those shows back in the day. But
Can I tell a story about you real quick?
absolutely.
All
Go
right.
for it.
You are the very first person I ever saw with an iPhone. You came to our show. I think it was the Epic one we had too, like March of 07, maybe 2007.
Okay.
It feels like that. It could have been 08. I don't know when the first iPhone came out, but this was the first iPhone.
Yeah, it was 07, 08, somewhere around there.
I think it was. Yeah, I want to say it was March of 07, or sometime in 07. Maybe. Anyway, of course, knowing Apple, they did it in September. But anyway, it's irrelevant. Point of the story is that they just come out. You showed up. You had the not pods, but the earphones that came with it.
Yep.
That came with the phone, and you had the iPhone. I had heard about this iPhone, right? I'd never seen them before. It literally just came out. You came to the show, and you were like taking photos with it at the show. I don't know if you still have a cloud from 2007, if they had a cloud. But do you remember this at all? Am I making this? Do you have?
I remember.
This?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I was like,
sure do.
Yeah. I was just like, what is this thing? It's like, it's an iPhone. I was like, iPhone. So I always tell people all the time, first person I ever saw with an iPhone, Major Chisholm. Yeah, it's crazy.
And I have some videos somewhere of you guys playing.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're up
Probably
on my YouTube.
That's funny.
Yeah, I don't know if I shot it with the iPhone or if it was.
It's crazy that was 13 years ago.
I know.
That's pretty wild.
You and I used to get together and eat sushi a lot and go see.
We did, man.
Movies.
I really wish. I wish I just lived here then. I should have been living in Nashville then. We could have caused all kinds of havoc. I came here a lot. I came here a lot though. I was here once a month or every other month, and so we'd go get sushi. Where did we always go? We mixed it up. Where's the spot in Fido? The spot next door to Fido's in Hillsborough Village right there, and then we went to I
remember one place down in Brentwood.
Yeah, I'm thinking of that place too, right there off of Mm-hmm. Good times.
And Nashville has changed so much since I left. I mean, people now ask me, "Hey, I'm going to Nashville. What should I do?" And I'm like,
"Beats me."
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you remember when? Well, that's to tell people too. People are like, "Oh, you just got it 18 months ago." I was like, "Well, I actually remember old Nashville. Like, I had a girlfriend that was here from 2001 to 2004, and so we used to kind of go out or hang out or whatever. And even when I was hanging out with you, do you remember like the Gulch? I don't even remember the Gulch, but it was like Sambuca's, Roussan's.
Yep.
What was the other place? Oh, the Station Inn was, of course, there. And then it was gravel parking lot and crackheads, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Literally it. Sambuca, some bar that was like that was like a nightclub, Roussan's. You know what I'm talking about? It was like a nightclub and then like Roussan's and then the Station Inn and gravel. And like that was literally it. And now like it's a whole thing. It looks like Beverly Hills. Like there's things like all kinds of touristy things. They're building like a W hotel there. They're Amazon's building their headquarter thing like in the Gulch.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. You'll come back here and be like, what planet is this? You'll feel like Doc Brown and Marty McFly. You'll be like, like which 1985 is this?
I just had a former student ask me today, would I recommend moving to Nashville? And I said, well, and we kind of got to talk. He's in film school. And I was like, well, if I had to move back to the South, I could move back to Nashville. But grown so much, I don't know that I would. I'd live outside of Nashville probably.
Right.
But if I were teaching, I'd probably try to live close to the school I was teaching at.
Right.
But you know, yeah, I don't know.
What would you give up those mountains?
No, I would only give up the mountains. Well, one, my wife would want to move to Nashville.
Right.
We would much rather live in a place that's less congested.
Totally.
Yeah. You know, we've talked about what retirement looks like. We're nowhere near retirement, but
Right.
do we want to stay in Colorado at that age? And we've got a few states on our list. They're a lot more green
Mm.
and hilly. You know, North Carolina is appealing,
Okay.
but we'll see.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
You're always welcome here, man.
Thank you. Well, when I'm back there, I definitely want to come see your place.
Absolutely.
So my move out here, you were instrumental in that move because you gave me a place to sleep.
Oh yeah. You were driving up.
Yeah,
Yep. With
the
Roscoe.
big Bosco.
Bosco. Yeah. So that's
Yep.
the restaurant, right? Bosco's.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what it's named after. Yeah.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, I made it to Kansas City, Missouri. You were my halfway point.
Yes, love it. I'm glad.
Pulling a car behind a U-Haul. Well, wasn't a U-Haul. Penske truck or something.
Moving's the worst.
I hate moving. That's another reason why I might not give up the mountains, just because I hate
Right.
moving.
Moving is the worst. Anyone that says they like moving, I don't believe them.
Yeah. Would you encourage, if there was a band out there, a local band, let's say we got a band here in Loveland, and they were wanting to make it or to do whatever, would you encourage them to go to Nashville and try to make it, or would you encourage them just to pack up in their van and go to it?
Absolutely. If it was something that was feasible for them, like if they were young, not married, if they were young and not married, but extremely driven and committed, and like willing to kind of go through the pains of coming to an oversaturated market, absolutely. Every day I drive around this town thinking I should have been here in my 20s. I don't know how the story how I would be different now, because clearly I'd be different now. But I think that Nashville is, for someone like me, it's the perfect place because there's so many people, so many like-minded people as far as artists, musicians, industry.
Yeah.
I feel that way about LA as well, but LA's not as. I mean, Nashville's really about the song. It's about songs. And there's music industry and business here, and a lot of that. And it's getting, in every day, more and more industries coming here. More and more like, whoa, they live here. Whoa, they live here. Whoa, you live down the street from me. It's a lot of that. If there was a young band, say there was 4 19-year-olds who were like, we want to do music. I want nothing more than music. I'd say, yeah. Like, oh, but it's expensive. We'll figure it out. I came down here as a grown-up, not much money in my pocket, and I just figured it out,
Yeah.
And I'm still figuring it out. But it's just like, but if you want to be, if you're going to be in Broadway, you should move to New York. If you're going to be a gambler, move to Las Vegas. If you're going to be an actor, move to LA. If you want to be a songwriter, you're not going to live in Boise. I'm sorry. I mean, you can write songs in Boise. You can totally write songs. You can be in a band in Kansas City. I have a lot of friends who make a living playing in a band in Kansas City. But none of those people are playing original music full time. You know what I mean? They're counterbalancing that with cover shows and wedding gigs and teaching, and you know what I mean? Like, no one. I know people in this town who write original music, and that's what they do for a living.
Right.
They don't do other stuff, or have to do other hustles. But they're, because it's a music town, it's a music industry. So yes, I would encourage. Man, I wish someone would have said, dude, stop what you're doing. And our story was different because I started touring right out of college. Our band was successful. We were on the road. So it made sense to kind of call home base a town. It made sense in my head at the time, call home base a town that we didn't have many expenses in Kansas City or Michigan. But
Right.
looking back, I would have been like, to be a part of a community and a network and a scene where, you know, you're in Aldi with people who are writing #1 songs. Yeah, that matters. You know, that's important.
So one of the things I loved about living in Nashville is that you could go to the Pancake Pantry and there sit Vince Gill
Totally.
eating by himself, reading the newspaper, and nobody's bothering him. You know, it could be anybody. No paparazzi. I don't know how that's changed in the last 11 years since I've been there, but that's what I loved about Nashville. People were just people.
Yeah. It's still that way.
Yeah. Along those same lines, who have you in your career, whether Nashville or otherwise, who have you run into that you were like, I look up to you?
Is this because you know this story? Do you remember this story?
Yeah, I think I know who you're going to say. Yes, you are.
I haven't told this story in a while. Well, let me just say this. I'm gonna kind of Quentin Tarantino. I'm gonna Tarantino this and go backwards to what I said earlier
Okay.
about the early parts of Scratch Track and meeting people and et cetera, because I have an endless amount of people that I feel like I have crossed paths with, sat in their office, talked to, emailed, that are now some of the biggest. Like, for instance, I don't know if you know who Scooter Braun is. You heard of Scooter Braun? He's literally like the biggest manager in music. Manages Justin Bieber. He's the one that found Justin Bieber. Manages Ariana Grande, Demi Lovato. He's like the Don Juan of young managers in music. And I definitely blew him. We definitely blew him off like 3 times 17 years ago. You know, he came to our shows in Atlanta. He was emailing us like, "You guys are dope." He's like, "I'm cool with Jermaine Dupri. I'm cool with Usher. We should work together." We were just like, this kid, you know, whatever, you know. So I blew off Scooter Braun. So who cares? But no, but that's a story. My one wow moment, like, oh my goodness, with a bullet, #1. I'll give you the lead up to the story. First time I went to LA was 2004. The best part about this story is that it was the only Super Bowl I've ever missed watching. We were driving from Texas to LA, and it was a Super Bowl, and Justin Timberlake ripped off Janet Jackson's
Yep.
the
wardrobe
malfunction. Yeah.
Right.
So it's like it was like the only Super Bowl I ever missed, and that was when I missed. Crazy, right? But so we get to LA. It happened to be kind of Grammy weekend. I don't even remember why we weren't there for the Grammys. We were there playing shows. We had a couple showcases at like Capitol Records and other places. We get there the first night. We're at PF Chang's, our manager, sitting there. Andre 3000 from Outkast is like at the front hostess stand. We're like, dude, that's Andre 3000. Like, what in the world? You know, I'm like a kid, 23 or whatever, 24. Wow, that's Andre 3000. That's crazy. So, you know, I think we tried to talk to him. He was on his phone. I don't remember how it went down. We leave there, sorry, I shook the whole thing. We leave there, go to the hotel bar that our manager was staying at. We're sitting there talking to the waitress. I said, "Yo, this is crazy. First time in LA. Oh, it's great. I bet a lot of celebrities come here," because we were on Sunset in LA. She was like, "Yeah." She said, "Earlier tonight, Denzel was sitting at your table." I was like, "Whoa, Denzel's at my table. That's crazy, you know? So cool." She's like, and she goes, "And you see Angelina over there, right?" And I was like, "Angelina." And at the bar, like 12 feet from me, and literally where you had to walk in, you walked past, sitting at the bar was Angelina Jolie with some random dude. Like, she was just making out with this random dude at the bar. And I was like, that was just wild. Like, oh, they're Angelina Jolie. So it kept happening. Next day, we were in line. The next day, we were in line with these young kids that were in a van that were traveling around following John Mayer opening for him. They're a band called Maroon 5, and we were in Baja Fresh with them and just kind of hung out with them for a little while, chatting with them. And they were, you know, like I said, they were in a van in a trailer following John Mayer at the time, opening for him. I think Jason saw Julia Roberts at a stoplight. Something else happened that trip. I'm forgetting some of the story, but the point of this whole story is that our last night in town, we are at our booking agent's office in Beverly Hills. he said, hey guys, before you go, I need to get some more CDs from you to send out and press kits, because back then you had to actually mail CDs to people. This is before links and emails and stuff. There were emails, but not like MP3s. So we go downstairs, get in the elevator, 3 of us. This is when Will was still in the band. Will, Jason, and I go into the elevator, go down to the lobby. We walk out towards the front door, and I said, oh, snap. We're going to have to get Buzz back in this building. I'll stay here. You guys go out and get the CDs, and I'll let you guys back in. They're like, okay, cool, whatever. So I'm sitting there. I remember the phone I had was on those flip phones. Looking at my phone, fiddling with it. I hear the elevator. I'm standing by the front door. I hear the elevator go ding. It's like, I wasn't even looking. I just felt 2 people walking towards me. And I look up, and there's this guy who I have no idea who he is, and there's a girl. And I don't know if you've ever seen the TV show Smallville. I don't know if your listeners or your watchers have seen the TV show Smallville, but that show was super hot at the time. And the love interest, Superman's love interest on Smallville was a girl named Lana Lang on the show, but her real name is Kristen Curick. Beautiful girl that every guy's in love with, right? So Kristen Curick is who's walking towards me. And I'm in love. I love Smallville. I love Smallville so much. It's crazy, right? Kristen Curick's walking towards me. And I'm like, this is not happening. I'm like, wow. So I just start saying, I'm standing by the front door. She's walking towards me. I start going, wow, wow, wow. That's all I'm saying is wow, wow, wow. And she kind of glances up at me because there's this random black guy talking to himself at the front door. So she glances up at me. They're about to get to the door. And I'm like, DJ, pull it together. Say something to her. And I say, Kristen. And she's like, yes. And she turned and looked at me, and like all of a sudden, like light shone down on her, and like the heavens opened. There were like birds singing. It was really weird, but like everything went in slow-mo. There was like a fan blowing her hair, and she was like, it was like, she was like, yes. And I was like, and I said, I just want to say I'm a huge, huge fan. She goes, oh, thank you. And then I quickly, for some reason, said, she goes, I was going to say, I'm a huge, huge fan. She goes, oh, thank you. I said, I'm so glad you're here right now. And she goes, okay, well, bye. And then she turned and walked out the door. And I said to myself, I'm so glad you're here right now. That was your moment. That was your moment. That was your shot to shoot. And you went with, I'm so glad you're here right now. What does that even mean? Anyway, and then she walked out of my life, and I've never seen her since.
With her bodyguard.
Yeah, with this other dude. It was crazy. So that was the moment. That was the only time I've really just been like shook. Met a lot of like whatever celebrities, or I know people that know people, whatever. But that was just a moment I was like, oh. That's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the one album or song or creative endeavor that you'd like to do before you go? Like, what's that one creative thing that, you know, whether you're remembered for it or not, but it's burning inside you, and you're like,
what came to mind first was I would love to write a song or co-write a song that reaches a mass audience. Win a Grammy or something. I don't know if I care about those things, but it would be cool to write a song or be part of a song that, you know, just reached a mass level of people. The viral or a hit song or whatever. was even a
Right.
song that was an album cut on, something. It can be a country song or whatever. So I think for me that the thing I would like to do the most is to have, before say that, oh my goodness, I was a part of a song that charted on this format or something.
Right.
So yeah, that, or I would love to do like an awesome collab. I can't think of who I'd like to collaborate with. If I had one person I'd be able to collaborate with, it'd probably be somebody like really random, like man, something really random, like Dave Matthews or something crazy like, or something like, like I'd love to do a collaboration with. I'll think of it. Probably a female artist, something that was really different. I'd love to collaborate with these girls, Larkin Poe, Rebecca, if you're listening, Megan, if you're listening. Let's do a track together. Something really cool and unique, soulful, groove, interesting.
Okay. What's the one creative endeavor or song that you've written? I mentioned this in my last podcast with um, my friend Chris Allen, pen
Yes.
name Israel Allen. I keep a painting in my garage that I don't like because it reminds me that I don't always make masterpieces. And when I set out to paint, I try to make a masterpiece. I try to pour a lot into it, right? But I keep some crappy ones because sometimes I make crap art.
Right.
What's a crappy song you've written, or a song you're like, I don't like that.
Yeah, it's funny. I was telling someone about this the other day. People say songs are like children. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that, because I definitely think that there's some things that Scratch Track wrote that we did. We did 7 albums, so and I love a lot of the things that we did. But there's a song on one of our albums that I hear. I'm not gonna call it out because it might be someone's favorite song, but
Sure.
I'm not gonna say what it is. But it's a song that I hear and I'm just like, that wasn't very good. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
the performance wasn't very good. The idea was good, but it's just not very good. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like,
Yep.
That could have been better. And I feel like there's a lot of choices that I think not a lot. There's several choices that I think that we made and held strong to in the beginning because we wanted to be singular. We wanted to be a band that said, this is our sound. This is who we don't sound like this band. We don't sound like that. We're not trying to sound like whatever. We sound like us. And, that alienated us in some ways that probably were not as productive for our commercial success.
Right.
We have the respect of a few hundred people. No, we have the respect of some indie hardcores, but I look back and think we should have probably done some more unconventional and commercial things. So
Okay. I like that.
yeah.
One of the things that Chris told me is that, and you mentioned it, you didn't want to call out the song because it could be someone's favorite song, is that, even though I don't put that painting out there, someone could find value in it, and it could speak to someone. And so, and that's cool and all. Yeah.
And that's, honestly, that's the discussion I would love to have. This is probably a whole nother podcast. This is like part 2, because
Sure.
I talk a lot about, people say things like beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and we live kind of like in a universalistic culture where to each his own, and what's beauty to you might not be beauty to someone else, and I just don't really believe that. I mean, it's like I hear what they're trying to say, and I think there's interpretation for art. I think there's interpretation for preference and interpretation for flavors.
Yeah.
But I think that I personally believe in ultimate truth. I believe that I think that's why there's scales. I think that's why there's a color scheme. That's why there's notes. That's why there's time signatures, to keep you within a parameter that will execute truth. So you may have created a painting that in your heart, this isn't very good, but a 16-year-old student of yours may be unbelievably inspired by it, maybe thinking it's the greatest thing they've ever seen. So does that mean that the art has less value, more value, or has the value changed? And that's kind of the discussion that I have a lot with people. And I personally feel like this is like, you're an expert in art. Like, you have done your time, you've done your hours to say, I know my field. I can hear music in a song and say, that's awesome. That I may not like it or whatever. I can say, oh, that's done really well. Those drums sound great. That guitar sounds awesome. Oh, the vocals out of tune. You know what I mean? I can say, I know enough about, I'm qualified to be able to say what's good and what's not good or whatever. But that being said, I personally just believe that, we have to start in our art, speaking truth and saying that there is better. There's not, oh, that was great. And I think in the church growing up, everyone thought I was great. And my parents are the most like supportive people of all time, and no one's gonna be like, man, you're kind of pitchy and that song's not very good and you should work harder on your vocal. No one says that. Everyone's just like, oh, that's great and you're such a blessing and God bless you and you're being used. But no one was like, yo, go work even harder and be great,
Right. Yeah.
And it took me a long time to get to this point where I want to be great. And that doesn't mean that I have to be like overly nitpicky or overly critical or overly pompous or overly any of that. It's just a matter of like striving for some sort of standard. Because if I don't think there's an artistic standard or an ultimate truth in art, then I think what's the point? And I think that we're all just kind of pissing in the wind at some level, if it's not true. So I struggle with that. I like that conversation. I like having that conversation with musicians and artists. And most people, when I tell them that I don't think beauty is an eye of the beholder, they look at me like I have 6 heads. And I try to explain myself, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, well, it makes sense in my head, but I don't know. I get the sentiment. I'm not trying to like start a riot. I can't say riot. I'm not trying to start a fight or a discussion or whatever. But anyway, it's just a small tangent I went off on. So I apologize for the rabbit hole, but that was yeah. So anyway.
No, I'll take that red pill any day.
Right.
I'll follow the rabbit. No, that's one of the things I really try to teach my students, because the Avett Brothers released a song called Just Another Bang Bang Shoot 'Em Up movie. I forget the name of the song, Bang Bang anyway. But my students, that's what they want to do. They want to make these like violent movies, and I'm sure it's what they're immersed in and what they're seeing. And I'm like, make something beautiful, make something that you can show your grandmother, And I'm assuming that's boring to them, but but what comes off is these 16-year-olds playing these adult roles and trying to with guns, and I'm like, it just doesn't play well. It doesn't work. It would be like all of y'all looking as young as you are, acting like
senior citizens,
the elderly in a nursing home. Yeah,
right.
Senior citizen thing. Yeah, and so it just doesn't play well. Make something that is excellent, and that's kind of my thing. Be excellent at your craft.
No, I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. And I hope that, and I struggle with that sometimes with Aspen, who's 16. She's so talented girl, and it's like trying to find that balance of encouragement and then Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson's dad.
Right.
It's like it's like encouraging versus, I'm gonna whip you. Not that I would ever hit anyone, but you know what I'm saying, like that. The militant versus the grace, peace. Oh, it's great. You're doing a great job. You're doing great. Keep it up. Whatever you want to do. That's just not. That's not truthful, and that's not where how you define greatness, you know. And I think everyone that I know that's great, you know, it's like they work really hard to be great.
Yeah, I think it goes back to kind of what you were talking about with your sisters, is just having that alpha mentality. You know, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is labeled as one of the hardest working men in Hollywood, and he's working.
Yeah, and it shows.
Yeah,
A lot of people want to sit around and eat pizza all day and then complain why they don't have a six pack. And I'm just like, you don't understand, like the discipline and the work that is involved for a body like that is, and the commitment level is unparalleled, you know? So, and same thing happens,
Yeah.
I think, with great art, you know? I want to be better. I mean, I'm not saying I'm even like I'm not even saying that I'm doing it. I'm saying that like I
Right.
want to do it. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
want to do it. I want to be great, you know?
Yeah. I had a professor once tell me that if I was going to work on a painting, and I may be misquoting him, but I think he either said, if you're going to make a great painting, it should take you, and this is where I could be getting it wrong, it should take you like a month or a year to work on that painting. And I was like, wow. Okay, so I can't just whip this out on a Friday night for a Monday morning critique, you know?
Right.
And
No,
so,
totally.
so really, you know, I took that to heart, and I don't think we teach the disciplines of being excellent in our craft as much as, I don't think people learn that as much as they should.
Yeah.
You know. Mm. So, where can people find your music? Give me all the socials. Give me everything.
All
And
the things.
all
Right.
the things.
So you can check out the 7 albums from the band Scratch Track, 2 words, Scratch Track, on all digital streaming platforms. Currently, you can check out a few songs of my solo stuff at Rockababyrock, ROCKABABYROCK, at Rockababyrock. You can follow me there on Instagram, Twitter. I even have a Snapchat, which I don't know how to use. I have a TikTok that I'm trying to figure out as well. You know, old dog, new tricks.
Right.
And you can find me at the Magi 615. So Instagram at the Magi 615, which is the area code for Nashville. For those of you who do not know, we're on Facebook as well. All those things are on Facebook as well. You can check out all those things. And my website should have links to Olivia Fox and Secondhand King and Aspen, all those things as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll include all that in the description below. That's what they say. Yeah, do this and say it's going to be in the description below. Even on YouTube, I'll put this on YouTube and put it all in the description. So I'll get all that information from you. I'm pretty sure I can spell Rockababyrock, but all the other stuff I'll get from as well. So I'll like the link to the artist.
Sounds great.
Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just like all day I've just been texting folks, you know, like just be excellent to each other, you know? It's about love. And we live in a pretty emotionally charged culture, emotionally justified culture. We use our emotions to validate what we say and how we treat people. And it gets kind of ugly and gets kind of tired. And I think there's more, it's like there's more to life than like our differences physically, socially, spiritually. And there's, you know, so much to be gained by just a little bit of love.
Starts with the man in the mirror.
If you want to make the world a better place, take a look at yourself. I'll tell you what song's not going to be written. If you want to make the world a better place, get on Facebook and rant. That's not a thing.
No, it's not.
That's not going to do anything, but except raise everyone's blood pressure, you know?
And at our age, we don't need that.
Nope. Got enough for everyone.
DJ, man, it's so good to see your face.
Dude, it's good
Thanks
to see
for
you too, man.
coming on. I hope this is a blessing to those listening, and future artists and current artists.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure,
And,
Major. Thanks for having me on. And
Yeah.
Stephanie, I beat you.
Stay on after this, and we'll catch up some more off air.
All right.
But
Sounds good.
this has been my friend David DJ Lee DJ. So thanks again, brother. Appreciate you coming on.
Very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let's rock it out. You've been listening to the Creative Liberty Podcast. I'm your host, Major Chisholm. In the studio with me today was David DJ Lee. And guys, check him out on all his socials. Check out his YouTube channel. And definitely check out the Magi when it comes out later this summer. Until next time, hope you've enjoyed this. Stay safe. Love one another. And we'll see you on the next one. And we're out.
And see.
Let me stop recording the Zoom meeting, and we'll talk freely.
Word.
If I can figure out how to stop. Pause recording, stop recording. There we go.